And the boys are back in town again. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. Happy to be with you this morning. Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor. Shane Matom, and on the line from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing, co-host, extraordinaire, I might add. Thanks, Shane, for being here, of course, as always. And boy, we got a big day of news today for sure. All kinds of things going on. And Mike McCormick will join us at 7 o'clock rather than 8. We're going to try Mike at 7 because we got a lot more response from listeners when he was on at 7 than we normally do when he was on at 8. So we're going to test that out. So he'll be with us in about an hour or so. And Shane, how you doing this morning?
Well, let's see. This morning looks like clear skies, and so it's beginning a normal summer day of August.
All right.
Always good weather in August here for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last 2 weeks of July, first 2 weeks of August are the 4 weeks of the year. Your best time of weather to come to Vancouver. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Well, 92 degrees yesterday.
Wow. That's pretty warm.
It was, and dry. No humidity.
Really?
Quite amazing.
Yeah. You're right on the ocean, and there's no humidity there?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Very
wow.
bizarre. And no bugs.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
Well, no, because the wind blows east, so there's no bugs coming off the ocean. So
well, I guess that's true. Yeah. So the bugs are all in. Where are they in? Calgary.
We blow them into the mountains. We blow them into the mountains. Yeah.
Okay.
In eastern Canada. Yeah.
All right. Well, I bet all the wildlife appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, our weather today, mostly sunny with a high near 85 degrees today. Slight chance of showers between 8 p.m. and 9, partly cloudy. Low around 57 tonight, chance of precipits around 20%. So we had a little thunder and stuff last night, but nothing too serious. Got a little moisture here and there around the valley, so it was pretty good. And let's see, but unfortunately tomorrow, we're going to have a high of 86. It's going to be mostly sunny until about 1 in the afternoon, and then it's going to rain all the way through Monday. I know. We're going to get various percentages of precip, but everything at least 25% or more. So that means you're going to get some rain some days, nothing the other days, and whatever. So, but anyway, tomorrow we're looking for a high of 86. On Friday, temperature is going to drop a little bit. They're going to be down to 79 when the rain moves in, and then Saturday we're going to look for a high of 77. Partly cloudy there, a little less chance of rain in the morning, but it picks back up in the afternoon. And then, of course, on Sunday, 74, it drops a little bit more, and still rain in the forecast, and 73 on Monday. Then it starts going back up on Tuesday to 78. And then we get back into the 80s, and the rain kind of moves out. But we're going to have about 4 or 5 days of rain here coming and going most of the day. So look forward to that. So get your mowing done expeditiously.
I guess this is what you call umbrella weather.
This is umbrella weather for the next few days. Yeah. So, all right. Temperatures around the area right now. Livingston's 54 degrees. Manhattan is 54. Three Forks is 56. And Gallup Gateway is 58. Ennis is 55. Big Sky is 54. And at the airport over to Belgrade, it's 54 degrees. Right now, we're right at 58 degrees over in our studios here in downtown Bozeman. And that will wrap up your weather for today.
There you go.
It is nice, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, on this day in history in 1912, guess what? The Progressive Party, of all parties, the Progressive Party nominated Teddy Roosevelt for president.
Yeah, fascinating situation in your country, mostly because of the fact that he was vice president to William McKinley. And William McKinley, as you know, he was assassinated. He was the 25th president of the United States. He was at the Pan American Exposition at the Temple of Music in Buffalo, New York. It was in, and Leon Kozolsky, Kozolskas, an anarchist, shot him twice and killed him. So Teddy became president. Progressive in the sense that he wanted to reform the United States government. Keep in mind, the government's principal income was tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
The whole income tax thing hadn't really begun.
Yeah.
And, square deal. And the square deal was, fair trade and carry a big stick. He sent out the Great White Fleet because the U.S. had a huge fleet they'd built. So he sent it out for 2 years to go around the world, with his, speak softly, carry a big sticks. And it was actually called the Bull Moose Party that he started, a progressive party. And he was elected in 2000. Let's see, in 2004 he was elected for a full term and won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 because of his settlement of the Japanese-Russian War. And he lost his nomination to Howard Taft, so he started the Bull Moose Party, folks, and third party of the 20th or the 20th century. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, lost that, and William Howard Taft became president and convinced Taft to put in, the laws about monopolies. Monopolies in the U.S. Anti-monopoly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, he was a pretty well-liked guy. Did a lot of hunting, became famous. The teddy bear was named after him.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff. He went to an expedition to the Amazon basin and caught some terrible disease and died in New York. And I always get a giggle about this because he died at 60, which is young. But he was buried at Young Memorial Cemetery, Oyster Bay, New York, New York, where all the Roosevelts are buried, in Oyster Bay.
Okay. Well, he was shot while campaigning for a third presidential term with the Progressive Party, and the assassin's bullet was slowed by the folded-up speech and glasses case in his breast pocket, but he finished the 84-minute speech being shot.
Having been shot, yeah. This is one tough guy. Yeah.
He was a bad boy.
Yeah, he also established, the national parks.
Yeah.
And the National Park Service, and they created 61 protected areas and parks, 2 of which, are in your state.
That's right.
Yellowstone was the first.
Well, Yellowstone's not in our state, but, that's okay.
Well, partially.
Well, very little of it.
Okay. Well, anyway, it was the first national park, and Glacier Park, I believe, was the second. But,
yeah. Yosemite and some of the others, are well known.
And forests, he established the national forests, 154 protected areas. Yeah. And he also protected 129 national monuments that have been established and set up that have yet to be attacked or torn down.
Wow.
Anyway, all the monuments in Washington, D.C. were established as national monuments and under the care of the federal government. So,
okay.
Yeah, he was a pretty progressive guy, I think. He got stuff done.
1942, U.S. forces landed at Guadalcanal, marking the start of the first major Allied offensive in the Pacific during World War II, and that was quite a battle.
It really was. It's north of Australia in the Solomons, and Guadalcanal was a major tipping point with regard to World War II because the Japanese intended to use it to advance on to Australia. But, of course, the Battle of Midway ended that. And it took a month for the Marines to get the Japanese out of there under the guidance of General MacArthur. But we want to recognize Single Men First Class Douglas Albert Munro, who won a Medal of Honor posthumously for his extraordinary heroism and saving over 500 Marines. So there you go.
Wow. 1964, Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, giving President Lyndon B. Johnson broad powers to deal with reported North Vietnamese attacks on the U.S. forces. And 2 years later, I showed up, and we were winning when I left. But
that's right. And another, what do they call it? It was since Korea. It was a military action.
Police action. This is a police action. Yeah.
That's what they.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You can't declare war anymore, ever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And historically now it's referenced as probably not really having happened, other than that maybe a jet was shot at, but not really anything. He just looked for a reason to do it. He wanted to be there. Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad. Very sad.
For our text line, 478-8298, most of Yellowstone's water flows into Montana. Only Montana has an open public road running through the park.
That would be the Yellowstone River, the longest river in the continent now that's not dammed.
Wow.
Amazing.
Okay. I really needed to know that. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. That's some damn information there.
And Apollo 15 arrived back on this day.
Yeah.
After August 7th, 1971.
Yeah.
And once again, Commander David Scott, lunar module pilot James Irwin, and Hadley Riley.
Yeah.
Remember those names.
Yeah. For all those who don't believe we went to the moon, why would we fake 16 moon landings?
Well, 6. I mean, yeah. Anyway, the bottom line is you've been there, done that, and now they want to go back and do it again. Right. I don't know why.
Okay. I don't know why.
Although there is claim by NASA, the moon is a treasure trove at surface of rare minerals, and so diamonds lying around everywhere: rubies, platinum, gold, silver.
Wow.
A lot of silica.
Okay. For our text line, 478-8298, true, not much of Yellowstone Park is in Montana, but we do have 3 of the 5 entrances into the park. So Montana is important, and I would agree with that. Thanks, Dan, for that. And let's see, Intake Dam is on the Yellowstone River, Shane. Intake Dam. You may want to look up Intake Dam and see where that is. Okay. Yeah, whatever.
I think. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got to take a break here. We got to take care of the farmers and ranchers. God, they're sitting there and they're, jammies, eating their coffee and milking their cows and whatever. And come on, we got to get the Montana news in agriculture out there. So we'll do that right now. I pushed the button once. No news in agriculture. It just went right past it. Once I pushed it. I don't know. I apologize to all our farmers and ranchers out there. No Montana news in agriculture this morning, and I don't know why it does that, because, you push the button once and it's supposed to play the stuff, and it just skipped right past it and went to the commercial. So
all right.
I don't know. So they'll beat me up over that. It's all orange. It's orange on the log, which means Tom screwed up. All right. On this date, 1974, French stuntman Philippe Petit walked a tightrope strung between the Twin Towers of New York's World Trade Center. Yeah,
that was quite an accomplishment, to bring attention to not only the towers, but obviously the act, and it was something to behold. I mean, really, when you think about it, wow, that's sort of scary, right? I mean, 1,312 feet above the ground. Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long drop. The pole too was, it's wow. He celebrated his 25th birthday. Oh, I don't know. Got to have, big cojones to do something like that, I guess.
From our text line, 478-8298, Trump should start having meetings under the moose. So, I no clue. All right, let's see. Let's see.
Well, with the Gulf War and Joseph Lieberman was picked by your ex-vice president, the loony, the loony weatherman.
Right.
Interesting because he was more of a semi-Republican, even though he was from Connecticut, And he sat and voted a lot with the Republican Party, but he was Jewish. And Gore picked him to run as vice president, which didn't help him much in that election, did it? Not enough to win.
Well, no, that's the help you got to have.
Yeah, that's right. That was a given state. I don't know why he would pick a senator from Connecticut when he knew he'd win that state, because normally,
yeah, you go after a state where you'll go after Ohio or Pennsylvania or somewhere.
Or Indiana in the case of Trump,
that's
right?
true, yeah.
That's why he picked Pence, because he was a strong Christian and from Indiana.
Yeah. Well, in 1990, President George H.W. Bush ordered U.S. troops warplanes to Saudi Arabia to guard the oil-rich desert kingdom against a possible invasion by Iraq.
That's right. He sent Secretary Cheney and Norman Schwarzkopf to Saudi Arabia to convince them what danger they were in, and lots of intelligence information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, of course, led to the shortest war you've ever fought, 72 hours, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And the largest coalition ever put together in the history of the world. A lot of stuff happened under George Bush. The Soviet Union collapsed. Your intelligence agencies didn't know, but the entire Soviet Union collapsed. Yeah, they didn't know.
They saw it in the papers.
Yeah, they saw exactly. Anyway, yeah, one of the largest forces. And here's an interesting thing about this. Under presidential order, he utilized commercial airlines to fly the 101st to Saudi Arabia in commercial planes. So the president has the right to utilize any commercial transportation in the United States in a time of war. And the United States, he used the resolution for the United Nations to do this. And Congress only authorized a use of military force. Once again, they did not declare a war.
Yeah, I came back from Vietnam on a commercial plane.
Yeah, exactly. How was that? Did your backpack fit in the overhead?
Yeah, not quite. But the stewardesses were extremely friendly.
Oh, and they fit in the overhead, did they?
Yeah, now they didn't get in the overhead, but
no, okay.
But they did sit on your lap.
Oh boy, I'll bet
take your drink order. Yeah. Let's see. In 2000, Democratic presidential candidate Al Gore chose Connecticut Senator Joseph Lieberman as his running mate, making him the first Jewish candidate on a major party ticket.
That's right. Didn't do him any good, as we said. He's from Connecticut.
Yep.
That was a given.
2002, Major League Baseball players and owners agreed on the sport's first test for steroids.
What a surprise.
After Barry Bonds and...
So what's your feeling on this? I mean, do you think that sports should... we all know and read about all the medications they use for guys in like football, They get a sprained ankle, they go in and they wrap it up and give them some painkillers and send them back out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's what I did. Somebody upended me at a basketball game and crushed my hip, and they gave me a cortisone. They gave me a cortisone shot, and I went right back out there.
Yeah, so I it's a conundrum for the sports industry, because the designated use of medication is sort of a bit strange. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are a lot of things that. Even back in the 60s, when we sprained our ankles, they used sound on our ankles to break up the blood clots that form when you sprain your ankle.
Yeah, and if you watch a football game closely, at the very beginning, like after the national anthem, they're sitting down and getting ready to. And you watch, they pass around those little tiny Dixie cups. Remember, you used to drink it.
Right,
and it's full of amyl nitrate for all the guys to inhale, right? To get all pumped up and go out there and stuff. I mean, so yeah, it's a very strange thing
Yeah.
to
So whatever's
see,
legal, I guess, whatever's natural, it doesn't kill you. So
yeah, exactly. There you go.
well, speaking of steroids, 2007, Barry Bonds became baseball's career home run leader when he hit number 756 during a home game in San Francisco, passing Hank Aaron's mark. And Barry was one of the guys that almost doubled in size taking this stuff.
Yeah,
He and Mark McGuire from the Cardinals in St. Louis, both these guys look like, I don't know, the Incredible Hulk.
Both those guys that caused them to outlaw the use of it.
Mm-hmm. Right? Well, yeah, that's what they saw. I mean, they saw them bulk up, and
yeah,
I mean, it was pretty hard to ignore.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
One year they're 200 pounds, and next year they're 280, and it's all muscle.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Well, in 2008, Georgia shelled the capital of breakaway Republic South Ossetia. Russia responded by occupying much of Georgia in a 5-day war.
The only thing about this that's fascinating, of course, George Bush was president. The the World Olympics were on in Beijing,
mm-hmm.
and it was fascinating because in the opening ceremonies, the President of the United States and the leader of China were sitting together, and someone came over and talked to George Bush. He tapped on the leader of China, and they got up and they walked over to the aisle, going down the seating, to get some privacy, and they sat there, and President George Bush told them that Russia just invaded this country in the middle of the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. And, like, strangest things that happen in the world, and even video of it. That's amazing.
Well, in 2009, former Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin accused Barack Obama of proposing death panels with his health care plan. And in 2010, Elena Kagan was sworn in as the 112th justice and the fourth woman to serve on the Supreme Court. So, all right, we've got a lot to talk about today. We've got all kinds of things locally, so we'll be right back. More buildings are coming, Shane. I'm excited. We'll tell you about them coming up after this. 23 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, 58 degrees outside. Looking for a high today of 85 degrees. Tom Eagle off your morning mayor in the house, and Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Our poll question of the day. Have you tried to quit smoking? Have you tried to quit smoking? So I quit in 1985, and it was not easy, I will tell you. It's one of the most addictive substances around. So by all means.
It truly is, yes.
It really is, yeah. All right, in local news, judge denies injunction to stop the Crazy Mountain Trail work. We talked about this the last, couple of weeks ago, Shane, I believe, that the current trail goes across private property in some cases. So the people are putting out no trespassing signs, or they'll come out after you armed to the teeth, get off my land. And so they're proposing a new route or a new trail, I guess. And the judge says, well, he rejected a conservation group's attempt to block construction of a new trail. So apparently that may go.
Well, and there's 3 areas of property in your country: federal, state, and fee simple. Fee simple is private land. So, because of the private land involved in this case, you can't block someone's private land. You can't stop someone from having a path on their own land if they want it. So I think that's sort of why the injunction, failed, to be honest, I think. But you'll have to ask the law babe tomorrow. She'll tell you, or Friday, rather.
Yeah, Friday. We can do that, yeah. Well, parts of the Porcupine Lowline Trail that cross private lands have been disputed for years, and landowners have put up gates and no trespassing signs in order to keep people away. I don't think it's a fact that you don't want people walking on, this trail, but they trash the trail in many cases. You come out there and your property's all aligned with, whatever candy wrappers or beer cans or whatever they take along with them on the hike, water bottles, empty water bottles and whatever. So, I don't know. you know, the crazies are a beautiful mountain range, and you know, I guess when the trails were initially put in, maybe there wasn't private property there. I don't know, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, in other news, the swarm of earthquakes near Manhattan continues, Shane. We had a 4.1 here last week we talked about, and that was on Monday. And they had another, well, they've had several, I guess, that have hit. Tuesday, they had a 2.9, so I'm pretty sure Yellowstone's getting ready to blow, but they claim, the folks who are supposed to know about this, we don't see anything significant coming out of the area. The tremors near Manhattan are far enough away from earthquake-prone Yellowstone National Park that they are unrelated. Yeah, tell me that. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
In the grand scheme of how big the Earth is, I mean, you're talking about a minuscule amount of distance there.
That exactly.
I was going to say, you know, you. I don't know.
When you take into account the relative change twice a day of the shifting of all the water on our planet, you know, high and low tide.
Oh yeah.
I find it, you know, if geology is right about, you know, plate tectonics.
Yeah.
You'd think there'd be volcano. I mean, you'd think there'd be just live action everywhere. Well, there is in the Ring of Fire, of course, but yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Well, I think as the Earth developed, I'm sure it was very active until it found its, you know, okay, this is my spot. I'm staying here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Then we have a couple faults every once in a while, like the San Andreas or some of the others that are well known that kind of shift every now and then, and you know, trash.
Well,
some town somewhere.
The good spaceship Earth keeps us alive and well to travel the galaxy. Well, it travels in space, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just when you read history, you know, it's particularly about weather.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's lots of history to read going back thousands of years about weather.
That's for sure.
So it's always shifting in extremes. It always is.
Yeah. Got to take a break, Shane. We got a caller waiting on the line. If you'll chat with them, we'll be right back right after this. 14 minutes before the top of the hour, we have a caller waiting on the line. And caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Don't smoke, don't choke, don't hulk.
Okay.
That's even Allen Ginsberg, maybe the most famous of the beatniks, had a poem about don't smoke, don't choke, don't talk.
Yeah.
So he didn't smoke either. So you were speaking of smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So the same age, Daniel R. Peterson, I gave up in 1977. And it was relatively easy for me because I connected it up with a stronger urge in me. I'm quite suspicious of the mindless, godless giant corporations. And I found out some of the scandals about how, I think it was Winston, was using something like ammonia to use in their delivery system to get the smoke deeper and the nicotine into the system better. That's one of the reasons that they lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of the treachery, the trickery. Mm-hmm. So I just simply said I'm not going to send my care packages to a corporation, and I broke away. And I was bumming cigarettes and looking in ashtrays like a good hippie. And I said, well, this is humiliating. I'm just not going to smoke. That would be the logical next step.
All right. Good for you. See, we're both healthier for quitting.
Yeah, we're both. I have a full head of hair. Is that your real hair?
That's my real hair.
Wow.
Yeah, I've still got my real hair, so... Yeah. Yep. Everything you see is real except my knees. They're Chinese.
Yeah. Let's see. I have all my parts. I don't think I've ever broken a bone. I'm a tough old.
I haven't broken anything. I don't think anyway. But Anyway, no holes in me from Vietnam, so I'm good. I'm in good shape. So, hey, thanks for the call, Daniel. Appreciate it. Thanks for the input. All right. Okay. From our text line, let's see. Let's catch up here. 478-8298. Violent ideologies. To make an omelet, you have to break eggs. Vladimir Lenin. I'm not sure Lenin said that, but maybe he did. I don't know. Let's see. Don't tell Shane. He defends Trump no matter what lies he tells.
Oh, well, don't tell me because,
Okay, I won't tell you.
Now that I'm a racist,
Yeah. Did Trump cut medical health care funds in Montana last year? As far as I know, presidents can't cut funds. That's Congress's job.
That's correct.
If last year, I doubt that they would, because the House would have been in control of the purse strings. For let's see, for next week, this from last week, Shane. How does Canada feel about the U.S. coming up for drugs? How do you feel? Should the United States just buy drugs from Canada? You'd get a hell of a deal. 30 million people would be buying drugs for 320 million.
Well, I know, but I think there's a policy that comes in effect January 1st, 2020, that the HHS secretary has spoken to. And the middleman in the U.S. is now being specifically taken out of the line of fire with the pricing of pharmaceuticals in your country. And most of them should drop like 50 to 80%. So I'm interested in seeing that.
Well, yeah, that would be interesting if that happens. So. Yeah. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298, quit smoking 22 years ago. Well, good for you. And also from our text line, originally called the Crazy Woman Mountains. So obviously we had to correct that political correctness. Oh man. Yeah. We couldn't call them the Crazy Woman Mountains, well, which I will from now on, of course.
Just to be
politically incorrect, of course. The Crazy Woman Mountains suit is still in effect. They're still going on, I guess. So the judge ruled, hey, you can't stop this trail. So we'll see. Okay. We got to take another quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Hang on. 8 minutes for the hour of 7 a.m. Mike McCormick will join us at 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about the markets. And the bonds are kind of tanking, and gold is going up, and I don't know, all kinds of things are happening. Shane will give us a market wrap-up around 7:30 when the markets open, and we'll be chatting with Mike about that as well. So be opportune to have him in here at that time. So we'll cover all of that stuff, and tariffs and whatever else you want to talk about during that time. So, yeah, somebody on one of our chat lines said, if Americans pay the tariffs, why are the Chinese so nuts about these tariffs? If Americans are going to pay for them, who cares? Let's see. If Americans pay tariffs, why is China retaliating?
Well, again, that's just false news. Americans aren't paying any tariffs, and there's if there's any raise in the cost you pay at the store for a product, then you may pay more. But the huge advantage that the Chinese have had for the last 35 years, and some of the products are 1,000, 2,000% profit. They're not going to raise any prices. It's not going to happen.
Well, I haven't seen any unusual price increases anywhere at the grocery store or wherever. Gas has stayed about the same. We're going to Walmart later today, to get our guns and go to Walmart.
You're great. Yeah.
Take our guard dogs and everything, and we're gonna head out. But we're shopping in there probably once a week or whatever, or we go there, we go to, Rose Hours, we go to, Town and Country, Safeway, whatever we happen to be going by at the time, Eames, wherever. I don't know, there's very little difference between one or the other. And a can of tuna might go up 2 cents, but okay, fine. Is that a tariff? I think I could handle 2 more cents if I have to, but I don't know. China, from our text line, 478-8298, China is retaliating because tariffs are liberal protectionism taxes that make imports more expensive for Americans. That's why China is retaliating. Well,
that's right.
So, all right.
Exactly.
There it is.
There it is.
Let's see. Trump's executive order in 2017 raised health insurance rates.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, anyway. That's our thoughts.
That's our thoughts, exactly.
on that little scenario there. So,
yeah.
Well, let's see. We got other local news we got to cover here real quickly. Let's go over here to this part. And, the county, if voters approve the Law and Justice Center, it'll be on the ballot. If voters approve the project, property taxes would increase about $34.10 annually for a house assessed at $200,000. However, the tax impact likely would decline over the 20-year life of the bonds as the county's population and number of property owners grows. I don't know.
That's amazing.
That could be, but so anyway, it would be it'll be interesting. It's a 129,000 square foot building. It would include the sheriff's office, victim services, youth court, the clerk of the court, and justice and district courts. And unlike the existing building, the new Law and Justice Centers would house the county attorney's office, which is now over on West College. And the Marty Lambert, the county attorney, urged them to go for this. Be easier for him to get over there. And I know we've talked to people we have listeners that built the current Law and Justice Center. I know that. The new center would also meet building codes, make it safer than the existing Law and Justice Center, which was constructed in the 1960s. But I'm pretty sure a few years back they redid it because we lived about half a block away, and we used to walk our dogs over by the Law and Justice Center because they got a great big giant field there. And I mean, the whole side of the building was gone when they remodeled it, so I can't believe they did reconstruct it with better codes, but we'll see. But anyway, not only is there a space need, but let's not forget safety of the people in the building. That's Dave Wasaki, Chief Youth Probation Officer. If something were to happen to that building, it would be a catastrophic for the community. But yeah, that would be tough. And in other news, the MSU, MSU police, they're training to prevent tragedies. The 21-officer MSU police force holds active shooter trainings every year. This year's training happens to occur days after 2 more deadly mass shootings in America, tragedies in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, that left more than 30 people dead and many wounded. So kudos to the MSU for taking this training seriously and helping to protect the students and everybody out there at the MSU campus. So we're grateful to them and all their hard work. Well, the Northwestern Bozeman subdivision is about to get 4 new buildings, Shane, with condos and commercial space, despite pushback from residents who said the plans don't fit the neighborhood. The 3-story buildings in the Baxter Meadows subdivision off Gallatin Green Boulevard will largely be used for housing. The project called Western Lofts includes 31 condos that will sell for around $300,000 each.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a 2-bedroom. A 1-bedroom would be less, of course.
Wow.
It'll be $299.
For the garage.
No, I don't know what it'll be.
It'll be $299 for the garage.
Okay. All right, Mike McCormick's scheduled to be in here in a few minutes, so we'll be chatting with him. Shane will be here with us, of course, and we'll hash out what the heck's going on with your money, because the stock market's been going nuts here this whole week. So we got to see what's going on. So stay tuned. A lot more to come. This is News Radio AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, and find computers around the world at KMMSAM.com. We'll be right back after these important words. 6 minutes after the hour, it's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, 58 degrees outside. Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing, is on the line with me. And Mike McCormick is in the house. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. And, well, things have been going nuts all week.
That's my entree right there?
That's your cue.
7 a.m. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Good morning, Mike. Welcome to the house.
You guys are tougher than I thought.
Yeah, we want to know immediately what's going on. What are you telling people?
I got half my cup of coffee still working
points?
On here.
Yeah, when you lose 800 points.
Hey, we almost made it back yesterday.
Well, I know. We're close, but no cigar.
Close your eyes, you'll end up in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Mike McCormick. You're usually on
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
We're trying to get 7 because we think you get more folks.
Spread the love.
Spread the love around.
I want to visit with the morning folk.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we've had a ton of news out there, of course, and a lot of uncertainty. The concerns are slowing global growth, and that's really it, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's expensive, and the future doesn't look like we're going to make as much money as we did in the past. And when you're looking at finances, I always feel like that's sort of the key. It's not where you are, and it's not even necessarily where you're going as much as what's the rate that you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. Is this going to happen quickly? Is it going to happen over a period of time? The numbers that we're seeing about future growth are just indicators, and companies give estimates as to what they think is going to happen, and all those have been going down. Why are they going down? That's a good question, but the impact is that people are saying, well, shoot, things are expensive now, and the reason why I own stocks is because I want to sell them more for more in the future, which means that we need things to get better. So why do I hold risky assets at all? I always parlay this into just our local real estate. There are anecdotal stories of real estate slowing down here. There's also plenty of anecdotal stories of people getting cash offers within 24 hours too. So, yeah. That's a small market. It's a bit more fragmented. But in the global context of things, we're looking for a reason to be optimistic. And there's more reasons to be pessimistic. Personally, I think a lot of it's if our interest rates are low, but they're higher than the rest of the world, that's still okay. Yeah. We still have the same balance. We still have a strong dollar, which has negative impacts, but overall, we like to have a strong dollar compared to other currencies. And we saw New Zealand overnight lower their interest rate by a lot. Mm-hmm. And this is the game plan that people were going to play after we lowered our own interest rate a quarter point late last month.
I was going to say, did New Zealand or someplace drop at 60 basis points?
It was more than expected is the key words that I heard. Because the numbers don't mean much, because I don't know what the interest rate on the New Zealand
I know
thingy is, right? So, what is the New Zealand thingy?
I'll have to look it up.
Right, it might be a loony toony dollar Kiwi. Yeah. Probably a Kiwi.
Yeah, more likely.
Global policy has huge impacts on where the money sloshes in the whole world. Mm-hmm. Does it impact your 401k? Absolutely. But you shouldn't do anything about it right now.
Well, when they issue these bonds, they have the bond sales every day, every week, or whatever.
Every country, right? And they do it like an auction, really.
Yeah, they have an auction for it. So why would 8-9 months ago the 10-year was close to 3? Mm-hmm. Now it's 1.6 or something like that. Or
right.
1.
So this is the 10-year federal bond. The rate they're paying in the auction has gone down by a ton, effectively. Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, almost about half in some measures. And so that means that people are choosing to buy that bond, even if it's paying you very, very, very little. Well, right now,
it's not even paying inflation.
It's not even paying inflation. But did you know, Tom, that there's almost $20 trillion of bonds out in Europe that are getting negative, that are paying rent to be safe? So you don't think about this in terms of return necessarily. You think about it in terms of safety. And so if people are scared enough where they're willing to take a 1 point whatever it is on our 10-year.
I was going to say, if we're the highest in the world at 1.6, Shane, makes me wonder where's the better deals in Europe or somewhere else.
That's interesting, right? Like, so why would you ever hold a negative yielding European government bond when you can step up to the U.S. of A? God bless the U.S. of A. Get a better credit and get paid more. Well, the answer is usually that these are big institutional investors that are mandated to keep a portion of their assets in these sort of safe haven currencies.
Yeah.
And now we're just seeing that, okay, U.S. pays the most. Well, it's not going to, the global demand for this is going to be so high because it's so horrible everywhere else. People are rushing in. We're having low 10 years. How does this impact the listener? Why do they care? Low mortgage rates. This is where mortgage rates are set. And low mortgage rates are here. If you refinanced 5 years ago because we said you better hurry up and refinance before rates went up, hey, you can refinance again.
There you are. This just in, FedEx reportedly severing shipping ties with Amazon as Jeff Bezos' company scales up its own logistics operation.
I'm surprised it took them so long.
Me too, yeah.
I mean, if FedEx and UPS...
I'm surprised Bezos didn't buy one of them. Either buy you. Yeah, exactly right, Shane. Why not buy UPS or
DHL, UPS?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Kirkland.
LDL.
He wanted to learn
international.
He wanted to learn the business and learn the metrics, and then he'll do it himself and make more money for his shareholders.
Well, he made a swap and a decision to use a U.S. Postal Service. Because of him, he saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when our postal guy pulls up to fill our boxes there, the back is full of Amazon stuff.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah. Well, in recent months, FedEx made it clear that it views Amazon as a competitor rather than a partner, and I would agree with that. I think that if he's using the post office to, you're right. Saving the post office would be a help there, and they're more than ready. And the nice thing about the post office, rather than UPS or FedEx, post office delivers to every address in the United States, which FedEx and the others don't always.
I could see at some point Bezos offering to buy the U.S. post office from the government, but I don't think they can because it's part of your Constitution.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that he'll be using drones and autonomous. He's going to hopscotch the USPS.
Yeah.
It works like a hot damn. Don't get me wrong, but nobody's invested in the USPS to make money before. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a few stamp collectors
they even
out
have
there.
Stock?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't know. No, I don't actually know how the thing works very well.
Well, you go and you pay 50 cents and a letter shows up somewhere.
Exactly.
Which is still amazingly cheap. Right.
Well, especially
you
when
it all the way across country.
If you know anything about Eastern Montana, and when you see those trucks driving along, you're like, whoa.
I know. They got their big chains on as they're going down the road in knee-deep snow.
I think I know why they're not profitable. Got a hunch.
Well, also, too, FedEx, one of its biggest customers globally is Alibaba. So they have a huge contract with Alibaba to deliver stuff overnight to people that pay 50 cents for something, and they delivered overnight by FedEx.
Hey, did you get to Sweet Pea this weekend, Tom?
Not a chance. I've been many years.
But
yeah, we don't go anymore.
Yeah, I sort of went to one of those places in my life for a period of time. And Shane, you weren't still in town over Sweet Pea weekend, were you? I mean, Shane?
No, he wasn't here.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I went, and it's great to embrace it again. It is. I saw the parade. I saw the kids run.
The parade's cool. I like the parade, yeah.
Except for they don't have the marching band. I guess the marching band can't get it together during summer vacation.
Probably not,
kick in there. But I do love a good marching band in the parade. So if you're listening and know anything about it,
we should have got the Belgrade Mime Band over there.
Oh, wow, yeah. I hear they're excellent.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah. But it struck me just how vibrant our community is.
We quit going to the Sweet Pea because the local vendors didn't seem to get a shot at the booze.
Oh, they don't. I mean, it's all out of town.
It's all Jackson Hole and stuff like that, and we just kind of resented that.
So there's Slam, right? Did you go to Slam then?
Yeah, we've been to Slam a couple of different times, and that's pretty good.
Was really well done this year as well. I got to go to both.
Well, it gets better every year.
Right. Well, we get more people, I guess, right?
But I don't know. I just thought the Sweet Pea was a little elite, and
they play. One music stage will kick off, and the other one will kick on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm bracing again. I'm urging people that maybe
The
take a break.
music's always good. Yeah, I always have good music there.
Yeah, I mean, for $30, you got some incredible shows, without a doubt. The point was just that it was a vibrant economy, is that this was a weekend where Bozeman really showed its stuff. Of course, we were jam-packed with people.
Bozeman the week before.
Yep, there was a huge 5K, 10K, well-attended the morning of, well-organized. And it's just one of those things that makes you feel lovely about where we live. And the side effect is that, yes, we're going to have just more and more people showing up into town, too.
Why do they always have runs for these things? Why don't they have, like, who can stay in the recliner the longest?
Ooh, different.
I could win that, baby, hands down.
Yeah.
Bunch of recliners out there, and your big placing bets on
would be good.
Who's going to stay in there the longest.
Your oversized bottle of water.
That's right, yeah.
You get a T-shirt with registration.
And my oversized bottle of water and my portable John right next to me.
Yeah.
First place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my money's on you, Tom.
I'm down with that.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
So when I was talking about real estate and hearing anecdotal stories, I do have some clients that are selling their homes, and it's interesting. They're in pre-retirement, basically. They're sort of half in, half out. That maybe they could already retire, but they recognize that their needs in their housing has changed, and the kids are gone, and they got a yard to maintain, and they're maybe spending a bit more time somewhere else, and they're selling their homes that they might have lived in for 20 years, 30 years, raised kids, and built their business maybe out of their home or something, and they're walking away and they're feeling pretty good, and they recognize that this market still might go up. I'm not calling the top and saying that if you're thinking about selling your home in the next 5 years, you should today. If you're thinking about selling your home in the next 5 years, though, have a conversation, right? Things are good right now.
Do you find a lot of people are downsizing? Kids are gone and things like that, and the house is too big, and
exactly.
Even though it's a house the kids grew up in, that's kind of hard to leave sometimes.
Sometimes it is, and it depends who you are. Some clients, I asked them, I said, "Well, how'd that feel?" And they said, it was a bit sad, but gosh, I can't tell you how good I feel right now. Yeah. I vacuumed my entire place while my husband took a shower or whatever,
right.
and then I mow, look at my mower. It's this battery powered,
Yeah. It takes 10 minutes to mow it.
Right. It looks like a nose hair trimmer.
Yeah, right.
So that trend is an interesting one. And then on the flip side, of course, as I say, well, who bought your house? Yeah. Well, they moved here from Seattle. And, no, they sold their home in the Bay Area.
Right, yeah.
And I said, aha. Last time when our real estate market froze, it was because those people weren't showing up.
They were upside down in their homes.
There was, right. If there was a pool of buyers, that pool got drained of everybody that had a bag of money. And it happened overnight. I mean, it happened. Eek.
It did, yeah.
So again, I'm not proposing this is what's going to happen anytime soon, but I think that's going to be a component of any slowdown. We're not going to see lower or higher mortgage rates for a period of time. It's going to take a long time for this 10-year to come back to some normalcy, especially now we're in this global race to the bottom or beyond, I guess is what it is. But just some thoughts about how you should be looking at real estate in context with all this rate stuff. That's maybe why you should, when it talks about an inverted yield curve, or if you're academically interested, take a moment and think about it.
Okay. We'll be right back because we have to take a 30-second break, Shane. 30 seconds. No less. We'll be right back right after this. 20 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., Mike McCormick's in the house. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eaglehoff on the Morning Mayor, and the KMMS Morning Soapbox is well underway. Mike McCormick, and I just asked you off air, the tariff situation, we wanted to talk a little bit about that. Have you seen, and I mentioned that you with two teenage girls in the family, you're looking at soccer equipment, you're looking at music equipment, you're looking at clothing, you're looking at food and all of the stuff.
Summertime, my wife's a teacher too, so she's looking at plenty of stuff as well.
Right, so, is there anything you've seen that dramatically increased in price due to tariffs?
Due to tariffs, no, not that I've seen. Now, $63 billion have been collected in tariffs.
Yeah.
And that's as of
72.
72?
Yes.
Well, we'll talk to the Wall Street Journal and let them wrestle this one out.
It'll be $100 billion by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see. According to the U.S. debt clock, it's 66.
Dang.
66 billion.
My debt clock says 71,613,000,000.
Well, that's metric.
All right. Well, you guys, the U.S. has collected a lot of tariffs, and they've taken it from where? And the question is who's getting hurt, right? Is it now we buy Chinese-made goods without even knowing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting packaging for this, and I'm getting clothing for that, and I'm getting a widget for this. And I like most people, I haven't noticed the prices on day-to-day things going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Now, what's different is that I have noticed that, the prices on discretionary things certainly have. And that's a bigger inflation question is can you get a meal in town for under $10? Mm-hmm. Can you have the sort of figurative turkey dinner of an experience with a movie and, what's the price of these things? Mm-hmm. And they keep going up, it seems like. So, no, I think the tariff question is who's paying so far, and the argument is, well, the U.S. government's taking a tax off of this transaction between China and you, the consumer, and that's going to be reflected either in if you pay a higher price for the good, then you get to pay for part of that tariff. If the seller is asking for a lower price for the sale, then they're paying part of the tariff. And the answer is some combination of the two, right?
Right.
We've seen studies that are showing that supply chains are already being redirected around China to other Southeast Asian countries for manufacturing and importing and whatever they can, basically. And so China can't afford just to say, well, you're going to pay the tariff and we're still going to be in charge. No, there's price competition going on there, too. But so far, maybe some callers are calling in with some points because I'm not seeing it. And I'm a pretty frugal guy,
I would say so, yeah. Okay. All right, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Call you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And Mike, what's up?
Hey, I just want to say, take a look at the volume or the ounces on food products. Go to your waters. If you buy water off the shelves, they used to sell gallons. Now they sell just under a gallon, and it's all different, and the sizing's gone down. So you're keeping the price the same, but you're getting less without really realizing it.
That's sneaky.
Just be mindful of that.
Yeah, I've noticed that on tuna cans. It's, I don't know, it's an eighth of an ounce or less or things like that. But that was happening long before the tariffs came along. But
Yep.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the Morning Soapbox. What's up?
Hi. Well, I was just going to mention the other thing that has been happening is that pressure to raise the minimum wage has been really strong in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. And as the employers have to raise those wages, their prices are going to have to go up because they can't just pull that money out of thin air.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And that's what happens in this late stage of the economy. And we should be seeing inflation coming from that combination of, okay, wages are going up. We're finally seeing wages going up, which is costing employers more, which requires them to get more profit. Mm-hmm. Which the people can pay because they just gave them more of a wage.
Right. Yeah.
So that's.
So why don't we go to a $25 minimum wage and we'll be out of this mess?
That's not how that works, Tom.
I guess you're right. I don't know.
But it is. I mean, actually, that is sort of an academically interesting question because it's the low-income earners that spend their money. If you give a tax break or otherwise incentive to people that are very wealthy, they might choose to invest or save or otherwise pull their money out of the economy. Mm-hmm. Whereas the low-income people, this is why, it was Bush that just gave a $500 check to everybody kind of thing. Like they're like, well, most people are going to put that right back in the economy, which will stimulate ultimately inflation theoretically.
Yeah.
We're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
And it might be because these great global concerns are they're in charge right now.
Well, I think in many cases, what we're seeing is that 30-some states raise their minimum wage. We're at $8, or 8 something. A lot of the very populated areas are $10 or $11 minimum wage, and it went up slow enough that the employers could adapt to it and raise their prices, and it trickled down the board to the manufacturer or the creator of the product, the farmer or the steel mill or whatever it was, automaker. And it was gradual enough that we okay, tuna went up 10 cents. Okay, I can afford that.
Like boiling the frog kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So, all right, hey, thanks for the call.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I guess that was all. Okay.
Okay, time for my 1 minute rant.
Go for it, man.
Get it on.
Okay. All right. So, we always talk about markers. Tom and I have been looking at this now for 7 years about China. China's in a deep hole, very serious economically as a Nazi state. And one of the scariest aspects of China right now is Forbes is reporting that China's unofficial debt to GDP is 300%. And the International International Settlements Bank for International Settlements says that the debt to ratio of China's GDP is 257. Now, to put it in context, Japan is at 234 debt to equity ratio. Greece is 181. The Sudan's 176, and Venezuela, which we talk a lot, is 172% and collapsed as a social government. The reason this is so important is China's debt is 34 trillion won, about 7 trillion US at its current value, because of what happened this week in the market. I don't understand the people that I listen to on the financial networks. They said that the Chinese stabilized the yuan. No, it's now over 7 to the US, almost 8. And, they're attempting to save their middle class and the collapse of their financial structure. And we all know in a capitalist system, boom and bust, and they're just pushing off this bust they're going to have at some point, and you're going to have 400 million Chinese demonstrating in the street. And the key to this could be Hong Kong. They've amassed almost 20,000 troops now on the border with Hong Kong. So when you're looking for markers, if China goes over the cliff into a recession or a depression, what Trump is trying to deal with them and them thinking they can outlast them till the election is nothing compared to what's going on in the world. And to give you an idea, when you look at the currencies, this is what really racked the world this week, because the Japanese trade went off because the Japanese Japanese yen went to 105, but the euro's back to 112, up a whole basis point, and the pound is up 2 basis points this week. So, as the Aussie dollar, as you said, that got whacked this week and was down. It's down again today. But, these markers are important. Got to watch them.
Yeah, we do. All right, Mike McCormick's in the house. Shane Matavin on the line in British Columbia. And Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the house. And we've got a full half hour to go. So we'll be back with more with Mike and Shane and myself right after these important words. So stay tuned. 24 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, 62 degrees outside. Shane Matavin on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the house. And our special guest star of the morning, Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Services.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I'll be a special guest. I don't know about a star.
Well, let's take some from our text line, 478-8298. Tariffs are hitting business equipment prices, not groceries, but businesses are feeling pain. Well, as I was telling Mike off the air, one of the people that I lunch with on Fridays, a group of us business guys get together, and he is the guy who is pricing all the equipment that will go into the kitchen or cafeteria at the high school, all steel, and no increase in price on any of it from any of the manufacturers that they get it from. They're absorbing,
and there's other.
They're absorbing the tariff. Yeah.
I've got some friends that do an import company for plastic pipe for plumbing, and they are feeling impacts. One of their lines came out of China, but they're a middleman is what they are.
Yeah.
So now they need to, they incur some costs, they incur a lot of risk. But they find new suppliers and they solve problems for their customers and say, well, this, this used to be the cat's meow. Now it's too expensive.
Yeah.
This is not quite as good, but it's affordable in your price range. It comes from wherever.
Yeah.
So, we can adapt to these things. And they always say nobody wins in tariffs. They escalate, and then they stick around for a while. And then, I was thinking about, as Shane was talking earlier before the break, about how China's on the ropes and how they're going to have they're going to give in this game a chicken first. Is that basically right, Shane, in terms of how you think it's going to pan out?
Yeah, they're in serious trouble. They have to do a deal with the U.S. if they want to save their economy. And, when I made a reference to it being a fascist state, that's the economic system that they picked when Chairman Ping decided to go capitalist. And because, all of us brilliant guys told him the most efficient capitalist system was a fascist state where the party controls everything. They own all the companies. They own all the banks. They run everything, and they decide what to do. So it's centralized finance on a capitalist basis. Yeah.
So here's, and I don't think I'm disagreeing with what you're saying, Shane, but I think I'm seeing it in a different way. Is that China has the ability to manipulate their currency, manipulate their economy, manipulate their numbers. I mean, we don't really know.
Well, they shouldn't be able to manipulate their currency because they became part of the International Monetary Fund.
Well, they can do what.
Monetary Fund. Well, I guess they could do whatever they want to.
They just did this week.
They just did it. I know. So they don't care.
And
they don't care.
They weaponized it.
They don't care about the rules.
Yeah,
I know.
This currency manipulator thing too. We move our interest rates around, so I'm not sure.
Sure.
I'm not sure what constitutes a currency manipulator. But here's my thought, is that, yes, U.S., our capitalistic economy is extremely well at absorbing downturn cycles, resolving bankruptcies, restructuring debt, repricing risk, and getting back to business. And we've done it time and time again, and we'll do it time and time again. And I think, in fact, we're even going to be quicker at recovering from whatever this next recession is, whenever it happens. Yeah. We're going to be snapping back even quicker, I think, because we've just done it, right? Sure. This company got too far out. This one's going to take all their debt. Investors there get wiped out. Too bad, you shouldn't have invested with them. Now, China, on the other hand, they can masquerade this health around for a long time. Look at Venezuela. How does this guy still stay in power right now, right? I mean, it can go to the bitter end. And as opposed to capitulation through a capitalistic bankruptcy recovery cycle from a recession, it might be revolution. It might be something extremely dramatic, but it's not going to happen in 2 years. Yeah. So that might ultimately be the downfall of China, or this might ultimately be the downfall of China. But I'm worried that the powers that are in power there are going to hang on to the power as the ship sinks, as the ship is at the bottom, and then the fire breaks out.
Over a month ago, actually 2 months ago, Tom and I discussed it and called it the whole thing in Venezuela was going to fall off the cliff because someone in the White House woke up to realize the guy they picked to replace Maduro is a bigger socialist than he is. So it's a bit of a joke. Yeah.
Right? I mean, because they'll that Venezuela system will perpetuate until it goes down in ashes. As opposed to a good capitalistic economy, we don't reach that bottom. Yeah, right. We don't go quite as deep into the barrel.
That's true. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Mike and Shane and myself right after this. 16 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 65 degrees outside. Shaman Tobin, Mike McCormick, Tom Eagleoff in the house. And from our text line, 478-8298, if you think raising the minimum wage increases prices but tariffs don't, you must be an idiot. Yeah, I don't mind being an idiot. The hours are good. And there's no heavy lifting.
Well, look, the hourly rate of the increase in pay is a direct response to inflation, and that's the biggest mover of inflation is bigger pay, pay raises.
That's why everybody wants $15 an hour.
That's right, and that's what the Federal Reserve is probably most anxious about.
Yeah. The problem is for every dollar we bring in tariffs, we're paying $1 back to the farmers under the Farm Rescue Plan. And I would say that is true, but if we keep China's feet to the fire, that's not going to be the norm.
Correct. That's correct. You're a very good call, Eagle Man. You're on the money.
I'm not sure why I'm here.
Let's see. Watch for ripple effects on the price of everything from iPhones to Christmas ornaments and wigs in less than a month. Every product entering the U.S. from China, except those with exemptions, will face an import tax of 10 to 25%. And while that may be true, Shane, the price that you negotiate will have a tremendous bearing on whether or not China absorbs that 10 to 25% themselves, or whether you get it from a country that doesn't have tariffs, or that we aren't imposing tariffs on.
Let's remember all these big box stores in the country like Costco and Walmart. They have massive storage capacity. So whatever they didn't sell last Christmas is in a warehouse already.
I was going to say it's all ready to go again. So
they just bring it out in September next month, and they're not going to raise prices.
No, If Christmas is more expensive this year, any more than it was last year, I don't know, but I doubt it seriously. But if you want to think about it, the four things that we had tariffs on before Trump's tariffs: tuna, tobacco, sneakers, and paper clips. Those were the protected tariffs that we had in this country. That tuna, have you seen the price of tuna go up? Sneakers, $200 for your kids for sneakers.
Bozeman Running Company does a great job, about 110.
Okay, $110 for sneakers for your kids.
You know what? They've been 110 forever.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even because they're protected by tariffs.
Well,
if you want to say that.
It's darn confusing.
I know. Please ask Mr. McCormick if I should pull out of my IRA because I am retiring in less than a year and it's all I have.
Oh, geez, this is a great question, and I hope it's huge.
Yeah.
And when you have a single asset, right? If you're all in real estate or if you're all in stocks and bonds and that's what you have, you got to make a move to diversify when you have the opportunity, when there is the opportunity. So in a small nutshell, I would say that you should be careful of keeping all of your assets at risk in the stock market and maybe look to move a portion of that out into maybe short-term CD. I've been recommending these 2% CDs that we have at local banks all over right now as a great way to have people basically feel comfortable that, the stock market went down 300 today. The stock market went up 250 the other day. It went up again, went down, a 700-point crash. We're here. We are going to be dealing with this. Even at today's prices, we're still looking at good gains for everybody. If you're in retirement, your job is to be reducing your risk because you don't have as much time to absorb and make it back. But you have to stay in it. You have to stay in it. If this is all you have and it's not a lot, you have to allow that money or a large portion of that money to be there for 5 years or more. Over any 10-year period, the stock market hasn't had a losing run. So go slowly, go in small bits. Give me a call, and I'll try and help you over the phone or go seek a financial advisor that will work with you. There's excellent ones in town. But if all of your money is in one place, and you're in retirement, you're going to feel more comfortable with a few places. That's the simple move. I don't project. I think things are going to go higher. I think that 2 years from now, the stock market will be higher. I don't know what it's going to look like between now and then. We got an election cycle. We got China. We got tariffs. We got real concerns. But we also have a very healthy consumer. We have a well-functioning economy. U.S. is still in charge. I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah. The other thing to think about with that as well, if whether you're retiring at 65 or 70 and a half, you're gonna be forced to take a certain percentage.
Well, it's 70 and a half. There's the RMDs that kick in where the IRS says, hey, you've had tax haven for long enough. It's time for us to start getting some sugar.
Now you got to start paying taxes. You
basically take 1/30th thinking you're going to die at 100.
Yeah, you got to take a certain amount out each month.
So you can use that as an opportunity if you are there. But going into retirement with all of your assets in the stock market, unless you are comfortable with what's been going on, there's just going to be more of it. So find a way to be comfortable.
What about transferring some of that over to a Roth?
I know you love the Roth, Tom.
I love a Roth because it comes out.
So let's just stop you right here.
Okay.
If you've been listening to Tom talk about the Roth, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But there's two distinct things we talk about. One is what do you own? Do you own stocks? Do you own bonds? Do you own Tesla? Do you own Facebook? Do you own Procter & Gamble? Do you own? Did you loan your money to the government and it's a CD? These are interesting things. The other thing that we talk about and we try to avoid is the account structures. Who owns it? How's it taxed? Who can get to it? Is it a custodial account? Is it a joint tenant with your family? Is it a Roth? Is it an IRA? These are the things that are important for planning.
Right.
And they're as dry as, I don't know what the proper euphemism is that wouldn't get me in trouble. So the Roth is tax-free forever. The IRS is tax-free until you take it out. Excuse me, the IRA is tax-free until you take it out. They're both mathematically equal, but the Roth feels a lot better because $100,000 is, in fact, $100,000 as opposed to in your IRA or 401k.
Yeah.
That's $100,000 pre-income tax.
Yeah.
So it can make sense to move it in there, but make sure you're working with a professional when you do it because it has to be done. It has to be done correctly. You don't piss the IRS off. No, you're not going to come ahead. It's just not going to work out. So you want to do it correctly. Thank you, Tom, for that moment. Roths are great.
Yeah. Well, the thing I like about Roth is, obviously, is they earn money and you don't pay taxes on them when you take it out. So that's why I like Roth. All right. We'll be right back right after
I want to talk about rental property economics after this. Is that's
right.
Okay?
And we got a question we got to address on the from the text line as well.
You got it.
So, yeah, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 5 minutes for the top of the hour. Mike wants to chat a little bit about what?
Well, just real quickly, I do like to talk about real estate. I'm not a realtor, but I've made plenty and lost plenty, so I know.
We all have.
Somebody was mentioning how their friend bought an investment property here in town and they weren't able to rent it for $2,400 a month, which is what they expected. So I'm assuming that this house was at least $500,000 purchase in town. I mean, a nice house in a nice neighborhood. So they spend $500,000 and they get $2,400 a month. We're just going to do some simple math on this one. If you said that was okay after paying taxes and some other expenses, maybe you get $20,000 a month out of that. Okay, so that's $20,000 a month. We'll call that $20,000 a year where we're going with that. Anyway, what I'm talking about is it ends up to be a 0.3% return on this math. So these people went in purchasing the house looking to get a 0.3% rate of return on investment property here in Bozeman. They were planning on just covering expenses at that, right? A 0.3% return on something that risky and illiquid means it will probably make, we'll be in the black over the long period of time. We're going to get depreciation and help out, but we're going to get the prospect of appreciation. We're going to get in the market was the main thing. We want another piece of equity in this market. They also probably borrowed to get into this, and so they have levered exposure to it. I'll tell you what, folks, if that house rents for $400 less, that rate of return gets about to be zero pretty quickly. So be careful buying investment properties in markets like this where you don't have the floor underneath you to absorb a few years of some negative metrics that might happen. Again, I don't see the gloom and gloom, but it's a toppy market right now. You better have a really sharp pencil. So try to not be emotional when you're buying properties right now is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's for sure. From our text line, 478-8298, Dow is down another 545.61. I'm bored of winning. Well, what was it in December? It was 21. So if you're at 25, you do the math.
Yep. And, I will point out, though, that right now in the past 12 months, the Dow is negative 0.4%.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is we talk about...
And that includes December, though.
Sure.
That would include December.
The Christmas Eve bloodbath that we had and everything.
It's the past 12 continuous months.
12 continuous months.
You're up 4% since the beginning of the year, I think. Maybe Shane could check my math on that.
Oh, I mean, you can be up. A lot of people year to date. If you're focused on your year to date numbers, be careful. I get people all the time coming in. Hey, Mike, my guy's doing this, or I heard somebody's doing this. I'm like, I can find whatever statistic you want me to show you right now.
Well, we were at 27 a few days ago.
But people talking about how this market's gone straight up, the Dow is negative over the past 12 months.
Yeah.
So that hasn't happened.
Not recently.
Right. And so what's one way that we can heal? Time. If we spend a period of time muddling around and let companies continue to innovate, grow, to create, we will return back to fair valuation and we'll be back off to the races again.
Yeah. Well, and from our text line, what was the Dow under Barry? What was it in 2008?
2008?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I would say 17, 18, somewhere in there,
just
maybe.
A percentage guy. We could go back there.
2009 March, it was 6,900.
69. Well, March of 69, or 2009.
Yeah.
Right. That
when
was
the
the
recession.
that was the bottom.
That was the bottom of the recession.
Right.
But it was that was in March. It was back to 12 by December. So yeah, you've doubled your money since Barry.
Yeah, and I think that, again, for long-term investors right now, you'll be rewarded for taking risk.
Yeah.
And it looks risky right now, especially when you have a big sell-off 2 days ago, and then you had a kind of a passive recovery yesterday, and then we have another down leg today. You know, I'm not a chartist, but those are the sort of things that get you worried, like, okay, buckle up. This isn't just going to go away.
And let's also remember that election night, the market dropped 800, I believe.
That was a buy signal, talking about signals.
Yeah. I don't need your phone because we're not going to take any more calls. So
all right.
Don't worry about it.
There it goes.
I won't worry about
The
it.
music's going to start in 7 minutes, 6, 5.
Hey, I appreciate you letting me on an hour early, and thanks for all the listener comments and questions. Keep them coming.
Got things going on.
Keep us sharp, right?
Yeah.
Weigh in. If you're seeing inflation in places in town, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd like to know if the tariffs are hurting you. I almost said say goodbye, Shane, but you can't. We got another hour to go.
Mike, it's great having you in the house for an hour. You should do this more often next week. Let's do it again, baby.
That's
you
right.
are fantastic.
Thanks, Shane. You guys are kind. Love being on the soapbox. I'm going to slide right out of here.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. Go make some money for somebody.
You got it.
All right. All right, thanks to Mike McCormick Financial Services. You can look him up online. You can look him up on Facebook or wherever. So, yeah, so Shane cranked up the volume there. So, all right, we'll be back with more right after the news at the top of the hour. We got Fox News, Montana State News, and a little bit of everything else. So, thanks, Mike. We'll see you next week. Welcome back, everyone. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. It is the temperature outside 68 degrees right now. And welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. We're happy to have you along with us today. And, well, Shane, I don't know if you, well, I know you did because you're up to date on everything. We had the Democratic Socialists of America got together and had a little meeting, and this is pretty amazing, I'll tell you. I haven't seen too much of this, but oh man, they don't allow applause. No applause. You put your hands in the air above your shoulders and wiggle them and do I forget what that's called, the spring fingers or I don't know, the dancing fingers.
The double wave.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. So anyway, if you're excited, you just wave in the air, and because heaven forbid we'd have any noise in there, so you don't want to applaud anything any of the speakers say or anything like that. But anyway, to give you an idea,
I just want to comment on that. So the theme song for the Socialist Party should be "Hands Up, Baby, Hands Up."
All right. Well, I want to play a little 50-second clip of this that's at the thing. Okay. So, Shane, don't laugh or do anything because you're on the same line as this. So you're going to have to hold it back until it's over. But anyway, here's a little bit of what you missed at the Democratic Socialist of America meeting.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Okay, there you go. Please keep the chatter to a minimum because I'm prone to sensory overload. And by all means, let's not use any gender pronouns while we're talking about this. So I apologize. No gender pronouns. Come on. What is wrong with you? We're socialists. Gee whiz. And I'm adamant about that. I was angry about that. So
it's amazing too, because in 1934 they ran a candidate and they were the third largest party in the United States, along with the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, from our text line, jazz hands is what it is. Jazz hands, that's what it is. I knew there was a name for it, but oh man. Oh.
Okay, my real quick comment about the market, we can move on. It's my humble opinion that what you're seeing in the market today with the Dow and yesterday is not a sell-off. The Japanese trade is off. The Asian markets are getting hard hit this week. And so the Japanese traders are selling off their positions to go to cash. So I see a rebound on this. I now believe with what's happening in China, I don't think it's going to affect the economy that much. I do think they'll attempt to interfere with your election by using the market, but it'll be to their detriment.
Okay. Let's see. From our text line, let's see. 2 insurers thrown for a loop last week when President Trump issued an executive order. Well, I looked at the article in question, and it doesn't say anything about mental health. It says that he cut the Affordable Care Act and revised health insurance rates, but I don't believe mental health is covered under Obamacare, is it?
No.
I don't think it is. But anyway, Blue Cross increased their was unchanged. The other thing you got to think about, if it's insurance in Montana, it's got to be approved by the Public Service Commission.
Correct.
Any increase in insurance has got to be approved by them, and there's got to be a good reason for it, not just that the president issued a thing. So.
Yeah, that's right. An executive order. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Where are we here? A bulletproof. Go ahead. You wanted to say something about.
Well, we've been talking extensively about pharmaceuticals in your country, and the Sackler family that owns Purdue Pharma. They have 1,000 lawsuits filed against them.
Yeah, but they're the OxyContin folks.
Yeah, and they're worth $13 billion, but they've been slowly moving all the cash out of the company because now they have a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit that was filed this week against them, and that's because of OxyContin. And they're going to go down big time. This company will go bankrupt because of the information they have about the postings and telling doctors to, there's no damage, and then talking internally there was. So this is one of those times that, it's like when we talked about tobacco, earlier when a caller called in.
Yeah.
And, this is going to change. This is going to affect and shine the light on pharmaceutical companies. One thing I just want to tell people that's sort of important that there's only one pharmaceutical company, I'll have to look it up, but it's in Europe that's selling or producing antibiotics. And this is a serious problem because antibiotics, have been overwrought by doctors and the industry. And, the world is running out of, antibiotics of any value to fight just common diseases that people have.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is some old guy.
Hey, old guy.
And this old guy has been listening to these Democrats, and I've been listening to these Republicans for about 84 years. Well, not quite that much.
Yeah.
Probably about 70. But anyway, I'm wondering if people ever thought about what would have happened in World War II after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. What if they came all the way to the United States and the people of the United States weren't armed? we'd have been under Japanese control then.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah.
No, most people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't. I don't know if they teach that in history anymore.
Well, when you think about it, Clint, when when World War II started in 1940, we were just off the prairies 25 or 30 years earlier.
That's right.
You know, I mean, we were all carrying rifles around and guns on the hip and everything else. So, it was, that would have been a tough time for the Japanese, I think.
Well, the thing is,
even in California.
Yeah. Here's the thing is, now, the Constitution spells everything out about the Second Amendment. And it says the word infringed. I don't know if anybody would look in Sam Johnson's dictionary, which the Constitution was written by. That was interpretation. That Sam Johnson's dictionary was the one they used for interpretation of all the words. Mm-hmm. And they went to every country that they could possibly get to study their laws and stuff before they wrote our Constitution also. But the thing is, our Constitution says, in the Second Amendment, the word infringed, the comma, the federal government or nobody is to touch the gun. Nobody. The word infringed means exactly what it says. Mm-hmm. You cannot touch any of it. But now we've circumvented that. We've prohibited this and prohibited that in the gun law, various different gun laws, which was strictly against the Second Amendment. And the next thing is, I had two things. The monetary system that Mike talks about. The Constitution says the states are only to coin gold and silver, as well as our federal government. And we're not living by that now. Our credit cards, I have one, you have one, Tom, we all have them.
Yep.
And we use them. We can't run a car without it. We can't fly in a damn airplane or make, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stay at a hotel.
Yeah, we have to have that. So what have we done there? We've circumvented the Constitution, right?
Well, to a certain extent. Well, we've amended it without an amendment.
That's right.
We've interpreted it to mean gold and silver. Well, here's a piece of paper that is a gold certificate. If you remember, they used to be gold and silver certificates.
That's right. I forgot one or two.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, we all have one hanging around, I think, here and there.
Yeah.
Well, so then they just changed it to an IOU.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where the mistake was happened right there. That was the mistake. Then they initiated the Federal Reserve System because our government couldn't control their money. And if you remember, J.P. Morgan had to loan our government money or we'd went broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after the Revolutionary War, guess what? We had to borrow money again. And who'd we borrow it from? We borrowed it from France. Okay,
yep.
And then we had to borrow money from Holland to pay the interest on what we got from France. So it's been a downhill spiral ever since the Revolutionary War monetarily.
Yeah.
Okay, our dollar, how much? You remember when you bought a candy bar for a nickel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
Now a candy bar that size today is what, 75, 80 cents?
At least.
Okay, how much inflation is that? How much does that say the dollar's worth?
Well, but how much do people get paid compared to when it was a quarter?
That there is inflation. The wages have inflated. The product that you've produced is inflated. Okay, everything is inflated.
Oh yeah. Well, wages inflate and prices inflate. So
and
the more we pay people, the more we have to ask for goods and services to satisfy that payroll.
That's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So
with your debt, you only have two choices: you pay it off, or inflation devalues it. So
yeah,
that's why the Federal Reserve wants an annual inflation rate of around 2 to 3%, because that's over 10 years. That's 20%. So.
Well, we're paying we're paying about 8 rich families. Mm-hmm. If anybody studied the Federal Reserve at all and read the Creature from Jekyll Island's book by Ed Griffin, if you've read any of this stuff, then you'll know why we're paying 5% to some of the richest people in the world for our own money. And look at,
well, you're not exactly right there. You know, the largest contributor to the U.S. Treasury today is the Federal Reserve because of the $3.5 trillion in debt it holds. And the Federal Reserve is made up of 24 governors.
There's 40.
So it is a privately held bank by other banks in the United States.
That's right. And if you look at the stockholders of that, Shane, when you look at stockholders of the Federal Reserve system, scare the hell out of you.
No, because the distribution of your major banks in the U.S. are held extensively by people around the world. They're not held by any one group.
That's right. Well, the thing that's happened to us here is the dollar is becoming worthless. I can still buy.
And that's not what the world said this week, Clint. You're wrong there.
Yeah,
the U.S. dollar spiked and is stronger than it had ever been.
Okay, let me give you for instance here. I used to buy a two-before here about 3 or 4 weeks ago for $2 and some cents. Okay, that same two-before is up there about $3. Okay, and then you buy a pipe fitting that used to cost maybe $1, $1.50. Now it's $4.
I could buy a 50-inch TV from Costco for $348. I saw it on the ad last night.
Okay, there you go.
So
$348.
$348 for a 50-inch TV.
Yeah, that's right.
The wife says no.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm trying to do.
I gotta go, Clint. Finish up if you would, please.
Okay, I will. What I'm trying to say is, the military people that get out of the military, like you and I, Tom. Okay, they could say that we were crazy. We got mental problems. Okay. Well, we don't have mental problems, and if we did have, who caused them? Then to go ahead and take the gun away from the guy that's trying to protect himself is stupid.
Yeah, we're going to talk about red flag laws here coming up.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to mouth off a little this morning.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
You betcha.
Thanks much. All right.
People think I'm nuts, but that's all right.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.
All right. We'll be right back. Shane, we got a caller waiting. If you could talk to them, we'll be right back. I forgot that break was only 30 seconds. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hi, Tom. This is Jay from Livingston.
Hey, how you doing?
I was reading the paper this morning and watching the news about the proposed red flag laws.
Right.
And I called Senator Chester's office, and he said he's all in favor of recalling the Senate to consider it. And so I talked to somebody on the staff, and I said, how would the senator like to have the word guns replaced with speech there? How crazy would he be about that red flag law? To me, if you just replace the nouns, it takes on a whole different meaning.
Well, I think this is a real slippery slope. For the people who don't know what we're talking about, red flag laws are that if they pass something that if someone feels you're a danger to yourself or others, the police can legally go in, confiscate your guns, and investigate you, virtually kind of kick your constitutional rights to the curb. Now, if we can protect people on the surface, that sounds like a good deal. We could stop some of these mental health people or people with whatever views they have. But on the other hand, how many innocent people are going to be, and do the police really have the time to go out and do all this?
Well, this sounds sort of like the Minority Report.
Well, that too, yeah. We're going to prevent the crime before it happens.
I thought those days would never come. It sounds like it's right around the bend.
Yeah. We'll have Tom Cruise will be coming back to the future and stopping people from committing crimes before they do.
Well, good morning.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for the call. That's we wanted to talk about that, and Shane, I don't know. This is a double-edged sword, slippery slope situation here. That anytime you bend your constitutional rights to privacy and whatever, we do have promote the general welfare in the preamble of our Constitution. And I would think that would mean no mass shootings, but unfortunately, it's the society we live in. I think if you want to regulate something, if you want to red flag something, I think you should red flag social media. Because
Well, that's absolutely
where,
right.
yeah, that's where these people show up.
You look at that terrible shooting in Florida in that high school, and when they investigated it, everybody failed. The FBI failed, the state police failed, the sheriff's department failed, the police department failed. I mean, everybody knew the character of the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And no one did anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the red flags were all there and ignored. So once again, it's an issue of the guy that pulls the trigger. No question.
But even if you went in and confiscated the guns from this guy and manifesto or whatever, there's no proof he would have acted on what he was talking about.
Or couldn't have gotten a gun somewhere else.
Or done it a year later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's no way to do. I don't see any way that you can legally stop a mass shooting if somebody is motivated to do it.
That's correct.
I mean, Virginia Tech, that guy killed 33 people, wounded 27 others with 2 handguns.
And 52 people got shot this weekend in Chicago, 7 died, and no one even talks about it.
Yeah, no, that's old news. That happens every weekend. It's the norm in Chicago. So,
but you have these shootings, and it's 24/7 around the clock talk about gun laws, and it's an issue in your country that has to be resolved. It needs to be solved.
Unless you violate the Second Amendment and come out and confiscate everybody's guns, people are just going to go to knives, machetes, or explosives.
Does the word Civil War have anything to do with what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that would work too. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, I just kind of caught in the middle of this. You just kind of struck a nerve, and you guys kind of touched upon it a little bit. And I think really the biggest problem is the 24-hour cycle, and that's with news, the election cycle. I mean, just on a day-to-day basis, we're just being bombarded with this stuff. And even with our government, it's a Democrat against Republican, Republican against Democrat. And it's just on a
black, white, gay, basis. Straight, you name it. Yeah.
I mean, you just can't get away from it.
No.
And I think until that changes, then society will change. But it's only going to be until our government changes. And maybe that's a little bit due to us by the people we vote in.
Well, I can tell you this: in 4 years with streaming, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, they'll all be gone. Okay, they're gone. They're gone. They're not even going to be around because, they can't put up a streaming network because they don't have enough people watching them. So everything that's it's only going to make Google worth more because they have so much of an impact now with news. That's going to be the problem. Google's going to become the global news network. GNN.
I agree with you.
Global News Network. There you go, folks.
Yep.
Hey, that should go viral.
Yeah.
I mean, but I really truly think that's the problem. I mean, and it's really on both sides. People just get fed up with it, and it's what our government does to us on a day-to-day basis by forcing things on us as far as the immigrants coming in.
Yeah.
And a multitude of other things. And people just aren't ready for a lot of the stuff that they push on us.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Hey, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Bye. Yeah, great. We've got a caller on line 2, Shane. If you could handle that, we'll take a break here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll return right after Fox News, Montana State News, Red Wing Shoes, Ace Hardware, and, of course, ZipRecruiter. Why not? We'll be right back. 23 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2019, 69 degrees outside, and the phones are ringing, Shane, so let's take some phone calls. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, this is Nikisha.
Hi.
And so we've got these mass shootings that have happened in El Paso and Dayton, and for some reason they're blaming President Trump. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why. His words are like, basically, if you're not coming here legally, you shouldn't be coming here. And it doesn't matter the skin color or where they're coming from. And whatever happened to America, love it or leave it, and stop trying to change it. But, you've got, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble thinking here a second.
That's okay. Take your time.
Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends, was talking about the events that have happened. And he says, and President Trump tweeted this quote from Brian Kilmeade, "I'm just wondering, did George W. Bush ever condemn President Obama after Sandy Hook?" Kilmeade asked. And that's, of course, referring to the mass shooting at the Connecticut Elementary.
Right.
Obama had 32 mass shootings, of 4 or more during his presidency. And not many people said, wow, President Obama is out of control. There's only been 17. There's been 17 so far for President Trump. And did anyone, when Obama was president, criticize Obama, saying it's his fault? I remember him talking about the cops being stupid.
Yep.
I mean,
and clinging to our guns and Bibles.
Yes, exactly. And the mass shootings were, and this is also, I believe, from Kilmeade, mass shootings were happening before the president thought about even running for the presidency of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, we mentioned Virginia Tech, where 33 people were killed with 2 handguns and 27 injured, and that Bush wasn't even on the radar then. So who do you blame?
If anyone is inciting violence, let's look at what the Congresswoman has called the president. If I were to say what she called him, you would be bleeping me out.
Mm-hmm. I would be. Well, and also, didn't Maxine Waters stand up there and say, if you see them in a grocery store or a restaurant or a gas station or whatever, get in their face, tell them they're not welcome here. If that isn't violence, I don't know what is. Yeah.
A better life for all the Texas and Ohio families that lost people. But, the mass shootings there wounded 51 people. 31 people have passed, and for that we pray for. But, in Baltimore this weekend, 8 people were shot and 2 died. And in Chicago, 52 people. More people were shot this last weekend in Chicago, and 7 died. And no one talks about that. So there's something seriously wrong here.
Our Senator, John Tester, says, tweeted something about the president a few weeks back that we should go punch him in the face.
Yeah.
How is that not inciting violence?
Yep.
There was a while back when Joe Biden said, he'd take President Trump back behind the gym and teach him a lesson. That's not inciting violence? They're the real ones inciting violence. What about happened to... I can't think of her name right now, the Huckabee, Sarah Sanders Huckabee, and her family in a restaurant, just out to have a family dinner, and people harassed them and were forced them to leave the restaurant. They were being so rude and obnoxious and probably violent in their words, and especially, how is that not inciting violence?
Sure.
President Trump just wants people to get along. You had the kid with the MAGA hat who was being harassed by the Indian person. Those are the people that are inciting violence. You have people that come here to this country and hate our country. They see things like that. It's like, oh, it's okay to be violent against people who you disagree with. It's okay to be violent against people in authority that you don't like.
Well, the media and the Democratic Party give them a pass for acting that way. Nobody chastised Maxine Waters for standing up there and said if they see him in a grocery store or a gas station or wherever to get in their face. And, nobody called Tester out on the Senate floor for, senators shouldn't say they're going to punch the president in the face. It just doesn't work. But no one in the Senate called him down on the floor to apologize or anything like that. That's where we are in America, I guess, right now. Hey, thanks for the call. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. 13 minutes for the top of the hour. Let's see from our text line. Many people will be jailed after martial arts is enacted for the crimes they've been committing. Example, assault in the 4th and 3rd degree against the sitting president. Figure it out, school teacher. You just keep repeating talking points. How do you think you can fix this? Have some ideas, please. Well, I don't have any ideas unless you want to trash the Constitution, because the very freedoms that we have in this country allow for mass shooters. So I don't know of any way that you're going to change it. The Boston Marathon bombers used pressure cookers. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to get rid of those, or how are you going to stop this? I don't know of any way that you can, unless you want to suspend the Second Amendment and take everybody's guns away from them, and then people will resort to explosives or knives or clubs or hammers or whatever. People, well, if they're motivated, they're going to get it done.
The problem with the red flag laws, the other slippery slope, is people spying on their neighbors and family. That's a scary slippery slope too.
That would be, yeah. From our text line, Trump would kick Tester's fat butt. So there you are. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, actually, here is the solution. I was taught by a man from California a long time ago that how to solve all this. He said, America is a war nation. If you think about it, seriously enough, we have a war on obesity. We have a war on illiteracy. We have a war on just on and on. We have a war on bathroom grime.
Yeah.
Right.
Drugs, rock and roll, you name it.
Yeah, we have a
video games.
Yeah, when we try to solve something, we have a war on something.
Mm-hmm.
So America has a consciousness of war, and his solution was when people collectively stop the inner war that they have going on within themselves, then we will have no war externally.
Excellent point. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks for
got it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So if collectively we can stop the war that we've got going on in our own heads. I mean, think about those shooters. They had to have some sort of war going on inside them.
I would agree.
That is the answer. Goodbye.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. We got to take a quick break here because we've got Rush and a bunch of other stuff. We got the Rush update, Peter's painting, Sherman Williams, and a lot more. So, Shane, we got a listener on the line, so if you'll take care of that, here's Rush. 4 minutes for the top of the hour. We've had a caller patiently waiting on the line with Shane. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Yeah, Tom, this is Steve.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. Just wanted to go over a few things. Went over with Shane there, but MK Ultra was a mind control government project that they get people to do things that normally they would not do. And if the Hegelian principle, which we use in this country all the time, not us personally, but the government, is you create the problem, offer the people a solution to the problem you created, and then they accept it. So MK Ultra, they mind control these shooters to go out, kill people, because most people aren't going to do that. And anyway, the problem is the people that don't have any guns, what are they, Tom?
Unarmed.
Well, then they're slaves too, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. I'm not armed, but I don't feel threatened.
Well, not right now, but if you would go to George Washington's vision, the vision of the American evangelist, General McClellan's vision that he had before Valley Forge. I mean, not before Valley, before I forget what that one was. But and Dimitri Duduman, the people are going to need their arms when the people come here to do what they're going to do. because we've been a problem in the world as the world police force for the cabal that's been running the planet. And the rest of the world's not a little upset with us because we send our troops to enforce whatever it is the bankers want it done. If they want to steal their oil, their gold, or whatever, we send the troops to enforce it. So we were never to leave this shores with our army. We don't do anything the Constitution says today. None. We've lost everything, and we, the people, are responsible for all of it.
All right. Hey, thanks, Steve. Got to go.
You bet.
Yeah, thanks for the call. From our text line, this guy's opinion about government teaching people to perform mass shootings is ridiculous and an embarrassment to all of us respectable gun owners. Because of the red flag law, many people will not seek mental care because they are scared of the ramifications. And wake up, Republicans. Trump is in favor of tariffs, red flag laws, and spending. He's no conservative. He's a New York liberal. And if the majority of people carried firearms, there would be a lot less carnage and less temptation to do so. Thanks, Jared, for that one. And let's see. The mass shootings Trump referred to in Toledo had nothing to do with him. And the girlfriend of the Ohio shooter comes forward, says she knew her boyfriend was dangerous and she didn't do anything unbelievable. So, well, if your girlfriend, you don't expect your girlfriend to do that. So, all right, calls are still coming in. I'm sorry, guys, I got to go. We're up against the clock, and so we're done for today. So save it for tomorrow. So say goodbye, Shane.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Mayor.
All
Everyone
right.
be happy to be safe.
We'll see you then. All right, thanks, Shane. All right, that does it for me. And hey, don't forget, boy, it's a fun day here. Let me do one from our app chat here. Red flag laws will eventually take guns away from everyone. Imagine these questions at your next visit to the doctor. Have you ever felt depressed or suicidal? Have you taken or are currently taking medication for depression or anxiety? We'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.